worth extra review, I think this is one of them. I left support double handout on tables for. In fact, I put extras over there for. So probably going to go unclaimed
Where is that?
today. There should have been 4 on that table. Did you not get one?
Should I take one to Nancy?
You can take extras if you want, or I can email them too if they want them electronically. So.
No, just for Nancy.
But I like to present this particular subject by giving you a problem hand, so that you can see just how valuable this gadget is going to end up being for you. And we start with just a very standard balanced opening hand, which we have over here. Your ordinary 13 count with no 5-card major that you are going to open a club. Your partner is going to respond a spade. Oops, better get the whole auction here since we have opponents involved. 1 club pass, and then 1 spade by your partner. And then a 2 diamond overcall by your right hand opponent. So, one of the things that, I always like, I think is kind of a good practice, although understandably in a pairs game where you're under time constraints, you may not be able to do this in its entirety. And that's cycle through all of the possible bids and figure out which bid makes the most sense for your hand. So, well, what options do you have as opener here? And can we discard those options as bids that wouldn't be a very good idea? Well, you don't have 4 spades. If you had 4 spades, you really wouldn't have a problem, right? You just give your partner a raise, and that would be that. You might raise with ace third, but partner's going to expect 4. Certainly, if you knew that partner had a 5th spade, you'd like to raise right now, but you don't know that, right? Partner has only promised 4 spades. So there's no guarantee that spades is the best spot. But what else are you going to do with this hand? Well, hopefully you've rolled out 2 hearts. You have 4 hearts, but 2 hearts here is a reverse and shows about an ace more than what you have here. So that's out. Let's see, 2 spades we talked about would normally promise 4. It's a possibility with only 3, and perhaps the least of the evils, but certainly imperfect. The opponent's bid diamonds. You do have a diamond stopper. It's not the best one in the world. Would you consider 2-no here? Hopefully you reject 2-no, because a free 2-no, even though, now we know that if they had an overcall, you were going to rebid 1-no to show partner a balanced minimum, right?
Yeah.
The problem is if you now bid 2-no, a free 2-no at this point shows 18-19 balanced. It's like a jump to 2-no. It's the same hand. So that's out. Joanne looks stunned.
I thought it had to be a jump because of the
Well,
2 diamonds.
if they don't bid
Oh.
and you want to show 18 to 19, it's a jump. All right. But if they overcall at the 2 level and force you to bid it, it's the same bid. It's still 2-no, right? It's not 1-no.
But it's not 18.
2-no, it is 18. If you freely bid 2-no right now, you have shown an 18 count, not a 13 count. I understand that you can't bid 1-no, but your 2-no bid is the same hand.
Okay.
2-no is 2-no, right? It's not 1-no. You can try 1-no, but they're going to tell you, no, that's insufficient. You can't do that, right? Actually, I don't think you're alone there in being surprised by that. I think a lot of people just think, oh, well, I can't bid the one no I was gonna bid, so I'll just bid no trump at the cheapest available level. But you need a better hand for that.
Okay.
So, could you double? Well, we're gonna give you are eventually going to double, but maybe not for the reasons that you think. You might double just as a, hey, I don't want to pass, but double presumably in other circumstances would suggest extra strength, one way or another, if it didn't have a specific meaning that we have agreed to. Now, there's always pass. I know that's your least favorite. Nobody ever wants to pass. It is okay in this situation, and with a lot of hands, when you have a balanced minimum and the advancer comes in with an overcall here at the 2 level, pass does tell partner that you have a minimum, right? And a lot of people are very much reluctant to do this. They think, well, I gotta bid again. But you actually don't. Because as soon as this person bids, is your partner not guaranteed another call?
Yep.
The auction is not necessarily gonna die at 2 diamonds. Your partner gets to bid again. So it is okay for you to pass and tell partner, I have a minimum hand. So that's a consideration. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's the best one here, but it is a consideration. So we also want you to see what this looks like from the other side. As I give you a hand that responder might hold over here. Let's say opener did choose pass. And so 2 diamonds came around here and you're the person who responded 1 spade. And you have a reasonable but minimum response, right? I mean, an ace and a king. You do have a 5th spade. So over here, I think you may not really want to sell out to 2 diamonds. But if you're going to compete, what should you do? Do you rebid a 5-card spade suit? Well, your partner has promised nothing in spades. If partner passed, for all we know, they have a singleton or void in spades. And 2 spades would be a terrible bid on king 5th. So that doesn't seem like a good idea. You don't really have a second suit. Would you support partner's clubs with 3 to the ace? Well, you'd have to go to the 3 level to do it. And remember, partner hasn't promised club length either. This may be a 3 or 4 card club suit. Not likely to be 3. Most of the time it's going to be 4 or more, but even in a 4-3 fit, which is what it would be with these 2 hands, you want to be at the 3 level in a 4-3 fit, that's not ideal either. No trumps out for you as well, right? You don't even have a diamond stopper. Could you reopen the bidding with a double? Yeah, I mean maybe, but then, what is partner going to do? I mean, partner might take you back to spades. That would be convenient. But what if partner didn't have much in spades and they were to bid 2 hearts? Well, you wouldn't like that, right? If you reopen with a double, that kind of suggests that you could play anywhere that partner would bid. Well, what we've come to here is that you both have a problem. And yet, you have an 8-card spade fit. And 2 spades, if you look at these 2 hands together, 2 spades clearly the best part score to be in. Well, you want to get there. How do you get there? So this is where your support double comes in. And many of you ever run into a book, it's been around for a long time. I saw it down at the Colorado Springs tournament. It looks like maybe they actually have cleaned it up and republished it for the first time in many years. But Washington Standard by Steve Robinson. Steve Robinson's a multiple-time national and world champion. And he's from the DC area, and he and his partners played what they call Washington Standard, which is basically just 2-over-1 with a whole bunch of gadgets.
Washington's.
A very thorough and complete 2-over-1 system. Now, it's a really good, I have always found it to be a very good resource. It's a little dry in the sense that you don't find, it's not fancy graphics. It looks like it was all put together on an old-fashioned typewriter or something like that. But it is very thorough, and his explanations are good. He's, his writing is fine. Not quite as eloquent as, say, Mike Lawrence, but it's a good resource if you want to get into all the ins and outs of a 2-over-1 system. And one of the things he talks about, and I remember being kind of surprised when I first read this, he said, and of course the book is like 300 something pages, right? And in the intro, he says, if you only read 2 sections in this book, read these 2 sections. One of the 2 he suggests is support doubles. Mm-hmm. That's how important he feels this is. I'm inclined to agree. I didn't realize that the first time I read it years ago. But the more I played, the more I realized the value. And so that is what we are going to introduce for you here. If you're not already playing it, or you say you're playing it, but you're not really playing it like Joanne. You agree with your partner to play it, but then you don't play it, right? But this is where your support double is going to come in. And we'll give you all the rules here for support doubles here in a bit. But I want you to think, look, interference by the opponents can be a real nuisance, especially if it's preemptive in nature. And look, sometimes bids from the opponents will really give you a problem. Sometimes it's an opportunity that you wouldn't otherwise have. Because I think there's a very strong likelihood, if you look at these 2 hands, and you didn't get interference, let's say this person just passed. Well, you can't do that because that would now be an illegal call. Your opponent one of your opponents must have been the most recent person to bid for you to be able to double. So I mentioned that only because I don't remember if I think I told some people at the doubles workshop that one of my students and I added support doubles to our convention card. And we proceeded to have an auction very much like this, and she doubled here. It was a good news, bad news proposition. The good news was she recognized that she had 3 cards in my major and that a support double was appropriate. The bad news was that her right-hand opponent hadn't actually bid, so the double was illegal and barred me from bidding for the rest of the auction. So it could be kind of a harsh thing as far as the laws are concerned. So, oops, yeah. So, but left to your own devices with these 2 hands, unless you just happen to choose to raise on 3, which we don't, is not something we typically want to do, you are quite likely to end up here, right? You're going to make your normal rebid, since you don't have 4 spades of 1 no trump. And your partner over here probably doesn't really have anywhere to go, and so they're just going to pass with a minimum response. And if you look at these 2 hands together, you can see 1 no is not the world's best contract. Especially if they find a diamond lead right away. Mm-hmm. You have 1 diamond stopper, so you'll score your king if they lead a diamond, But pretty soon you're gonna be giving up the lead. You've got 3 club winners and a couple of spade winners. Your king of diamonds would be your 6th trick, but you may run out of tricks after that. You may need clubs to split 3-3 just to make your one no. And of course, as soon as you give up the lead, they're cashing diamond and heart winners against you, right? So one no is not a fantastic contract. You might make it. You might get some help from the defense. What I'd really be worried about would be like the opponent's leading a heart and then returning a diamond through my king so that we don't even score a king,
Right.
score the king of diamonds. So if the opponents are, are double dummy, as we would say on the defense, if the ace of diamonds is in the wrong spot, this could get really ugly. On the other hand, if you look at how this contract plays in spades, 2 spades is pretty much a lock to make if you don't get a bad trump split, right? If trumps split 3-2, you are going to lose a spade, but you only lose 2 hearts. Any others could get roughed over here in the dummy. You shouldn't lose any clubs. And then you may or may not lose a diamond, depending on where the ace is. But if you lost, worst case scenario, if you lost 2 diamonds and 2 hearts and 1 trump trick, you've still got your 8 tricks, right? So as far as 1 no versus 2 spades is concerned, 2 spades is clearly the better part score on these 2 hands. We'd like you to be able to get there.
Okay, my partner and I, she would rebid the spades. Can you talk me out of that? Because it really helps sometimes.
And you're
It's
remembering the times that it worked out well, and you're
Yeah.
conveniently forgetting all the times it was a complete disaster and partner had a singleton spade.
That's
And you were playing in a rotten 5-1 fit. For the most part, now on this particular auction, there is a little bit of safety in theory.
Yeah, but usually if I
Of
bid a
rebidding 2
club, I
spades.
have some of both.
So we really want any free rebids of a suit to be 6-card suits. That should be the case almost always. Now, there are some exceptions. If partner opened 1 no trump, what would you do with this hand? You would transfer to
Transfer to
spades
spades.
and pass, right?
Yeah.
And you would do so knowing that partner might be playing in only a 7-card spade fit. That's okay. 7-card spade fit, 7-card major fit at the 2 levels is not the worst thing in the world. Now, if we go back to the auction that we were just looking at, where you could use your support double, this is the situation where you would. This is the kind of situation where you should never, ever bid 2 spades. You absolutely, on this auction, must promise 7. Yeah, you must promise a 6-card suit. Why?
Because your partner could just.
At no point has your partner shown a balanced hand, right?
Right.
This is not like partner opened and we transferred, because when partner opens a no trump, we know they have at least a doubleton, right? Because they don't open a no trump with a singleton or a void. All right, so 2 spades here, especially with this bad of a suit, is extremely dangerous. Because we could take away 2 of the spades from that hand and put them in other suits, and the partner would still have a club open and a subsequent pass over 2 diamonds. So, so when partner rebids a no trump, there's a little more safety on rare occasion rebidding a 5-card suit. But it's still a practice you generally want to avoid. So yes, I'm more than willing to do my best to talk you out of that. And yet I see that all the time. I say that all the time in club games. I see people freely rebidding. This one blew me away. Gave us a chance for a top board, which we didn't follow through on, but. So our auction went something like this. My left-hand opponent opened a diamond. There was a heart overcall by my partner. There was a spade here. I Q-bid 2 diamonds, which was a limit raise in hearts for my partner. And opener bid 3 diamonds here. at the 3 level. 5-card suit. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And a 13 count, minimum opening hand. The diamonds were good. They were headed by ace, king, queen, but it's still a 5-card suit. So that's something you don't do. And what ended up happening was my partner bid a game, which was a good bid. And then they sacrificed because obviously this person here thought that their partner had longer diamonds. They were in big trouble because I doubled. Unfortunately, partner did not leave my double in. She pulled it to 5 hearts, but that is 100% penalty. And they were going down more than the value of our game. So, missed opportunity there. But certainly, if you're going to do that at the 3 level, that has to be a 6-card suit. And you're not even forced to bid here, right? I mean, there was an overcall. You're off the hook. So if you're making, that's what when we use the term free bid, when you're making a free bid, you're bidding in a situation that refers to a situation where you're bidding in a situation where you aren't required to, because your partner gets another call, right? So as soon as I Q-bid 2 diamonds, that meant opener's partner, the responder here, was always going to get another chance to bid, right? So really no reason to overstate the value of your hand or misdescribe your hand in a situation where partner is guaranteed another call. So it's kind of an aside there, but relevant to what we're talking about.
When it goes, when the possibility exists that new minor forcing is triggered, but you don't have the 11 points as responder, how far do you?
Yeah, so that's a problem. Since this is I think a good question. That is certainly within the scope of what we're talking about. Let's go back to these 2 hands. And again, this is since it wasn't all that long ago that we were talking about new minor forcing. But yeah, let's say the auction goes like this, with no interference from the opponents. So you would love to use your new minor here, right? I mean, you'd like to be able to find out if partner has 3 spades. The problem is, and of course your new minor forcing bid here would be 2 diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if partner comes back and bids exactly 2 spades, showing 3 spades and presumably a minimum opening hand, that would work out fine, right? So on this particular deal, you might survive that. But what I would ask you is, if you use your new minor forcing, what if partner only has a doubleton spade? Well, what if they do something like bid 2 no next? Because that's their only catch-all bid. Or they bid 3 clubs. Well, if they bid 3 clubs, at least they should have a 5-card club suit. And maybe you could live with that, but you are at the 3 level, right?
Wouldn't they bid 2 hearts?
Mm-hmm.
Showing that.
So with this particular hand here, they would probably bid 2 hearts. And then you could try retreating to 2 spades, but again, the danger here is that you have shown an invitational hand, right? So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, new minor can't really be safely used with a hand that is not at least invitational. So you would typically want to have at least 10 points to play. The fact of the matter is, when you're in that 6 to 9 point range as responder, I mean, we call that you have a 1-bid hand, right? Yeah. Your plan is, I intend to only bid once with this hand unless partner forces me to bid some more, right? Unless the opener jumps or jump shifts or reverses or does something to show extra strength, right? Otherwise, you're either passing whatever opener says next, or if opener has shown 2 suits, maybe you're just, you may bid again just to take a preference back to opener's original suit or something like that. But so yeah, I mean, the upshot is you really can't use new minor here. The hand's just not quite good enough. If you were going to go that route, you would probably be just as well off to rebid 2 spades, because at least rebidding 2 spades when partner has come back with a no trump is it's either a 5-2 or a 5-3 fit, right? We hope. if the opener hasn't rebid one no with a singleton.
Okay.
Now that may get into your, that's something that I really avoid, but you'll see, it's a matter of style, and you will see some people who will rebid a no trump more often with a singleton than their partner's suit. I generally think that's a bad practice. One of the reasons is I kind of like the idea of rebidding a 5-card suit here if I think one no trump is not a good contract. But it's imperfect. At least if you rebid 2 spades, partner will take you to be in that 6 to 9 range and not 10 plus, right? So.
Thank you.
So let's go back to this auction where we do have the interference. And as I said, look at this as an opportunity. Look at it as a chance, where maybe the opponents helped you out. Where you had, where a situation where maybe either you wouldn't have liked your rebid, or you would have thought that your rebid was totally normal, as one no would be with that hand, but ultimately might not be a great contract.